Welcome to Headphone News, International Edition for Friday, November 15, 2024.
Supreme Court reviews Nvidia securities fraud case. On November 13, 2024, the U.S. Supreme Court reviewed Nvidia's request to dismiss a lawsuit alleging securities fraud. The lawsuit claims that Nvidia misled investors about how much its earnings relied on the unpredictable cryptocurrency market. The complaint states that Nvidia did not adequately explain the risks linked to cryptocurrencies in 2017 and 2018. Justices raised concerns about the legal standards needed to prove fraud. This case could set important precedents for how companies disclose risks to investors. A decision from the Supreme Court is expected by June 2025, potentially affecting future securities litigation.
Baltimore wins $266 million in opioid case. Baltimore, a city in Maryland, has won $266 million in a lawsuit against drug distributors McKesson and Cencora. A jury found McKesson liable for $192 million and Cencora for $74 million. This decision follows a lengthy trial that examined the company's roles in the opioid crisis. In 2022, Baltimore reported 904 overdose deaths related to opioids, a high number for a city with around 569,000 residents. The city plans to use the awarded funds to address ongoing addiction problems and aims to seek an additional $9 billion for future needs. This case is part of a broader effort involving over 3,000 states, cities, and Native American tribes across the United States to hold pharmaceutical companies accountable for the impact of the opioid epidemic.
CoreWeave secures $650 million investment. CoreWeave, an AI cloud startup, has announced a new funding round of $650 million. This investment comes from major financial firms like Jane Street and Fidelity Management, boosting CoreWeave's valuation to approximately $23 billion. The company focuses on delivering powerful computing services crucial for AI applications. Demand for these services has grown rapidly since the launch of OpenAI's ChatGPT in late 2022. CoreWeave competes with large cloud providers such as Microsoft Azure and Amazon Web Services. This funding reflects increasing interest in the AI sector, with projections that investment in this field will hit $79.2 billion by the end of 2024.
Small-cap stocks surge after Trump's election. Small-cap stocks in the U.S. have jumped following the election on November 5, 2024. The Russell 2000 index, which tracks around 2,000 small companies, has risen about 6% since then. Investor optimism is driven by the expected policies of newly elected Donald Trump, including tax cuts and reduced regulations. However, some analysts express concerns about inflation, which could negatively impact small-cap stocks sensitive to interest rate changes. Despite the underperformance of the Russell 2000 compared to larger indices this year, caution prevails as investors try to gauge how the new policies will affect future growth.
Date on U.S. consumer inflation for November 2024. In November 2024, U.S. consumer prices rose as expected in October, primarily driven by higher housing costs, especially rents. The Consumer Price Index, CPI, increased by 0.2% for the fourth month in a row. Over the last year, inflation has grown by 2.6%. Analysts warn that the slowdown in progress to reduce inflation could affect future interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve or the Federal. Following the recent election, Donald Trump won, raising concerns that his proposed economic policies might lead to higher inflation next year. Overall, the Fed may decide to slow the pace of rate cuts amid ongoing inflation challenges.
Bitcoin surges amid Trump election hopes. Bitcoin has surged above $90,000, reaching a new high of about $93,158. This jump comes after the U.S. election results on November 5, 2024. Investors are hopeful that a potential second term for Donald Trump could lead to friendlier regulations for cryptocurrencies. Trump has promised to make the United States the crypto capital of the planet. Other cryptocurrencies, like Ethereum and Dogecoin, have also experienced significant gains. Recently, MicroStrategy invested nearly $2 billion in Bitcoin, which boosted overall market confidence. Experts advise watching for potential regulatory changes and greater involvement from institutional investors. This increased interest signals a major shift in the cryptocurrency landscape.
U.S. stock market rises following inflation report. On November 13, 2024, U.S. stock markets gained after new consumer price inflation data was released. The consumer price index rose by 0.2% in October, marking the fourth straight month of steady inflation. The annual increase in the index reached 2.6%, which matched expert expectations. This data raised expectations for a possible interest rate cut by the Federal Reserve during its December meeting. Neil Kashkari from the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis expressed confidence in the ongoing trend of decreasing inflation. The Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed nearly 194 points, or 0.44%. The S&P 500 went up by 13 points, or 0.22%, while the Nasdaq Composite saw a slight decline. In corporate news, shares of Spirit Airlines dropped by 56% following reports of potential bankruptcy. Meanwhile, Rivian, the electric vehicle maker, saw its stock surge by 16.7% after Volkswagen increased its investment in the company. Overall, the positive stock market reaction followed the inflation report, driven by hopes for lower interest rates.
Meta introduces ads on Threads. Meta Platforms is set to add advertisements to its social media platform Threads in early 2025. This update comes from a report by The Information, which points to 3 sources familiar with the company's plans. The aim of introducing ads is to help Threads generate revenue and compete more effectively with platforms like Twitter. This development reflects a trend in social media where companies look for new ways to make money. Adding advertisements could change how users engage with Threads and raises important questions about privacy and user experience. Threads was launched to create a unique social media experience, and this advertising strategy is a significant move in that direction.
Trump's administration may change cryptocurrency rules. Jay Clayton, former SEC chairman, recently spoke in New York City. He mentioned that new laws for cryptocurrencies could come into play when Donald Trump takes office again. Clayton believes that reducing regulations would make it easier for businesses to go public. He criticized current rules, saying they make it more challenging for companies to invest. Under President Biden, stricter regulations have been imposed on cryptocurrencies. A shift in regulations is anticipated as Trump looks to make changes that could benefit the crypto industry.
Wall Street bankers discuss Trump's impact on banking. Wall Street bankers gathered in New York City to explore how President-elect Donald Trump could reshape the banking industry. There was a sense of optimism about the potential easing of strict regulations, but caution remained about the future. Discussions focused on Trump's commitment to deregulation and its possible effects on loan growth and the broader economy. Some bankers raised concerns about Trump's populist proposals, like capping credit card interest rates, which could affect profits. The group also talked about potential rule changes for financial regulators and addressed worries about compliance with anti-money laundering laws. The rise of cryptocurrency, highlighted by Bitcoin reaching a record high of $89,982, was seen as a new challenge for traditional banks. Overall, bankers are preparing for significant changes in the financial landscape.
Frontier Communications approves $9.6 billion deal with Verizon. Shareholders of Frontier Communications have given the green light for a $9.6 billion acquisition by Verizon. This approval occurred on November 13, 2024. The deal includes a price of $38.50 per share, which is a 44% premium over Frontier's recent stock value. Furthermore, Verizon will assume around $10 billion of Frontier's debt. Concerns were raised by some major investors about the sale price, suggesting that Verizon should offer more. Proxy advisory firms advised Frontier investors to abstain from voting to seek a better deal. This acquisition aims to boost Verizon's competitive edge against rivals like AT&T and T-Mobile. The merger is expected to take about 18 months to complete.
Federal Reserve considers interest rate cuts amid inflation concerns. Federal Reserve policymakers are looking at the possibility of cutting interest rates again. Recent data shows consumer prices have risen by 2.6% over the past year, exceeding the Fed's target of 2%. This comes after a recent quarter-point reduction in rates. The Federal Open Market Committee will meet in December to make important decisions regarding interest rates. Dallas Fed President Lori Logan highlighted the need to be cautious with any additional cuts to avoid reigniting inflation. The unemployment rate is currently at 4.1%, suggesting a labor market that remains healthy but is softening slightly. Analysts believe upcoming economic data will be crucial in guiding future interest rate decisions.
U.S. household debt increases as incomes rise. According to a recent report from the New York Federal Reserve, U.S. household debt grew by 0.8% in the third quarter of 2024, reaching a total of $17.94 trillion. This increase in debt coincides with rising incomes, which are helping many Americans manage their financial obligations. During this time, disposable income for Americans reached $21.8 trillion. The debt-to-income ratio improved to 82%, down from 86% before the pandemic. However, the report also indicates a rise in delinquency rates, now at 3.5% of total borrowing, raising concerns for households. Areas of concern include auto loans and mortgages, leading analysts to closely monitor these trends.
California nuclear plant adopts AI technology. Diablo Canyon Nuclear Power Plant in California is set to use artificial intelligence to meet new licensing requirements. As the only remaining nuclear facility in the state, the plant has partnered with Atomic Canyon, a startup from San Luis Obispo. The AI system, called Neutron Enterprise, will help manage around 9 million operational documents, many of which are decades old. This step aims to enhance safety and compliance while increasing efficiency in managing the plant's aging infrastructure. This decision follows California's move in 2022 to keep the plant running to support carbon reduction goals.
Boeing lays off 17,000 workers. Boeing has announced it will lay off 17,000 workers, accounting for about 10% of its global workforce. This move is part of a plan to reduce costs and tackle financial struggles related to its debt. Employees receiving layoff notices will remain on the payroll through January 2025, in accordance with the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act, which requires a 60-day notice before job separations. Boeing is focused on supporting affected employees during this transition period. These layoffs underline the ongoing challenges in the aerospace industry, where many companies are facing similar pressures. The fallout from this decision is expected to impact not just Boeing but the wider market as well.
EU examines Novo Nordisk's $16.5 billion acquisition of Catalent. EU antitrust regulators are reviewing Novo Holdings' plan to acquire Catalent for $16.5 billion. This review will look into any potential competition issues arising from the deal. The acquisition is crucial for Novo Nordisk, based in Denmark, as it aims to increase production of its popular weight loss drug, Wegovy. Regulators are collecting feedback from industry participants and aim to reach a decision by December 6, 2024. This merger highlights the expanding market for obesity treatments, which could be worth $150 billion by the early 2030s.
AMD announces workforce reduction to focus on AI chips. Advanced Micro Devices, known as AMD, will lay off about 1,000 employees, which is 4% of its global workforce. This decision is part of AMD's plan to concentrate on developing artificial intelligence chips to compete more effectively with Nvidia, a leader in the industry. While AMD's data center segment has seen significant growth, its personal computer and gaming divisions have struggled. The company intends to start production of a new AI chip, the MI325X, later this year. Even with the growth in the data center area, AMD's overall shares have declined by more than 3% this year.
Concerns rise over proposed Trump tariffs. Executives from U.S. companies are preparing for potential tariffs that President-elect Trump may introduce. These tariffs aim to increase costs on imports, which could disrupt supply chains and raise consumer prices. Tesla's CEO, Elon Musk, along with other business leaders, is considering how these changes might impact their operations. Analysts warn that these tariffs could lead to higher inflation. The effects could be significant for industries reliant on imported materials. Global markets may respond with uncertainty, as other countries might impose their own tariffs in retaliation. U.S. businesses are advised to get ready for these possible economic shifts.
D. Shaw short positions Bayer as shares decline. D. Shaw, a leading hedge fund from New York, has taken a short position of €1.02 billion, around $1.08 billion, against Bayer, a major pharmaceutical and chemical company based in Leverkusen, Germany. This decision follows Bayer's disappointing earnings report, which revealed lower profits and concerns about weak agricultural markets. As a result, Bayer's shares fell to a 20-year low, dropping 3.5%. The company's CEO now faces added pressure to improve performance in light of these challenges.
Volcanic eruption disrupts flights in Bali. Mount Liwatobi Laki-Laki erupted on November 4, 2024, on Flores Island in Indonesia. The eruption released significant ash clouds, greatly disrupting air travel to and from Bali. Many flights were canceled, leaving travelers stranded at Ngurah Rai International Airport. Major airlines such as Jetstar, Virgin Australia, and Qantas paused their operations due to safety concerns. Reports indicate that over 80 flights were canceled on a single day, affecting both domestic and international travel routes. Indonesia's frequent volcanic activity often complicates air travel during such events.
The Guardian stops posting on X platform. The Guardian, a British news outlet, has announced it will stop sharing content on the social media platform X, previously known as Twitter. This decision comes due to concerns about disturbing content on the platform, including hate speech and conspiracy theories. The Guardian described X as a toxic environment for sharing news. The organization intends to archive its accounts on X and urges readers to visit its website instead. This move reflects growing concerns among media organizations about the effects of misinformation and harmful content on social media.
Italian president criticizes Elon Musk over migration comments. On November 13, 2024, Italian President Sergio Mattarella criticized Elon Musk for his comments about Italian court decisions regarding migration. Musk suggested that judges should be removed for blocking plans to process some asylum seekers in Albania. In response, Mattarella highlighted the significance of Italy's sovereignty and its capability to handle its own affairs. The recent court ruling put a stop to the government's plan to outsource asylum processing, raising concerns about the safety of migrants. This situation underscores the ongoing challenges Italy faces with migration as the government seeks solutions while balancing legal rights and public sentiment.
Severe air pollution hits New Delhi. On November 13, 2024, New Delhi, the capital of India, faced a significant air pollution crisis. Levels of harmful particles known as PM2.5 soared to more than 50 times the safe limit set by the World Health Organization. Key contributors to this crisis included emissions from vehicles, industrial activities, and stubble burning by farmers. The cool weather and low wind conditions trapped the pollution close to the ground, posing serious health risks, especially for children and the elderly. Many residents have been experiencing respiratory issues due to the poor air quality. Despite a ruling from the Indian Supreme Court stating that clean air is a basic human right, government actions have been criticized for being inadequate. This pollution problem recurs every winter, impacting millions of people in New Delhi.
Oil prices rise after OPEC cuts demand forecast. Oil prices rose on November 13, 2024, after a recent drop to a near two-week low. This increase followed short covering after OPEC, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, announced a reduction in its global oil demand growth forecasts for 2024 and 2025. OPEC cited weak demand from major markets like China and India as key reasons for these cuts. Brent crude futures climbed by 61 cents to $72.50 per barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures increased by 59 cents to $68.71. Geopolitical tensions also played a role in the market dynamics. Recent discussions between President Putin of Russia and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia emphasized the importance of cooperation within the OPEC Plus group. Analysts pointed out that tensions involving Iran may lead to potential supply disruptions. Additionally, the U.S. dollar hit a 7-month high, making oil pricier for buyers in other currencies. Today's data from the American Petroleum Institute is expected to show an increase in crude stockpiles, which will be closely watched by market participants.
U.S. opens missile defense base in Poland. On November 13, 2024, the United States officially opened a missile defense base in Redzikowo, Poland. This new facility aims to enhance Poland's security as a NATO member, especially amidst rising tensions with Russia. Polish President Duda stated that having American troops on Polish soil strengthens military capabilities. The base is part of the Aegis Ashore missile defense system, which protects against short and intermediate-range missile threats. This opening demonstrates the commitment of both Poland and the U.S. to tackle security challenges in Eastern Europe.
FBI raids Polymarket CEO's home following election prediction. The FBI raided the home of Shane Copeland, CEO of Polymarket, early on November 13. This raid followed Polymarket's accurate prediction of Donald Trump's victory in the 2024 presidential election. Agents seized electronic devices from Copeland's apartment in Manhattan, New York. He believes the raid was politically motivated and claims it is retaliation from the Biden administration. After the raid, Copeland humorously mentioned getting a new phone on social media. Prominent figures like Brian Armstrong of Coinbase and Elon Musk of Tesla criticized the FBI's actions, suggesting that such moves might actually increase support for Polymarket. Founded in 2020, Polymarket allows users to bet on various events and has attracted attention for its unique approach to forecasting outcomes.
Southport murder trial set for January. 18-year-old Axel Rudakabana is scheduled to stand trial in January 2025 for the murder of 3 young girls. The girls were killed in a knife attack during a Taylor Swift dance event in Southport, a seaside town in the United Kingdom. This tragic incident occurred in July 2024. Following the attack, riots broke out across Britain, driven by false social media claims about the suspect. More than 1,500 people were arrested during the unrest. Rudakabana faces serious charges including murder, attempted murder, and possession of a deadly poison. The trial is expected to draw significant attention as discussions about community safety continue.
U.S. strengthens support for Ukraine during NATO meeting in Brussels. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte in Brussels, Belgium, to discuss bolstering support for Ukraine. The meeting aimed to enhance military aid to Ukraine before the transition to President-elect Trump. Concerns about North Korean troops assisting Russia in the conflict were also addressed. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Sybiha stressed the urgent need for assistance to reinforce Ukraine's defenses. Blinken assured that the U.S. would work to deliver all approved aid for Ukraine before the new administration starts.
North Korea's Kim Jong-un orders mass production of suicide drones. On November 15, 2024, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un announced the mass production of suicide drones. These drones, capable of flying to targets and detonating, will be a key element in modernizing North Korea's military. Kim highlighted the need to update military strategies to match global advancements. This development occurs alongside increasing military cooperation between North Korea and Russia. Concerns are rising about potential heightened tensions in East Asia, particularly with South Korea, which has previously encountered drone incursions from the north. This move marks a significant enhancement of North Korea's military capabilities and highlights the ongoing arms race in the region.
North Korea tests new drones amid rising tensions. On November 14, 2024, North Korea announced the testing of new exploding drones that are designed to hit targets directly. Leader Jong stressed the need for quick production of these drones, calling them crucial for military strength. This announcement came while the United States, South Korea, and Japan conducted joint military exercises in nearby international waters. The drone tests underscore North Korea's military advancements, raising concerns as these actions heighten tensions in Northeast Asia.
That is all the news for today. Thank you for listening to today's headphone news. News summary brought to you by AI.